Now, yesterday, Dan Ashworth left his role as Manchester United's sporting director after seemingly losing a power battle with the chief executive, Omar Barada, over how the club should move forward. You might add Jim Ratcliffe into that as well. Ashworth held office for just 159 days. Ratcliffe was reportedly not happy about an interview done by Ashworth and Barada, in which both said the decision to retain Erik ten Hag wasn't theirs. Football writer Henry Winter tried to make sense of it all on the Sunday edition yesterday.
Well, the whole sort of Ratcliffe, when he came in, he clearly wanted to appoint his sort of executives, the right people, get a proper football structure in place, because they haven't really had a football structure in place for sort of 10, 11 years. And that was in place. They brought Barada in. Obviously, Dan Ashworth came in from Newcastle United via tending his garden. And now for this to happen, I mean, look, we know Dan. We've sort of worked with him. I wrote a book a few years back on England and spent some time with him. And I mean, he's very meticulous, very hardworking. There is, he knows so much about players all over. Obviously, when he was at the Football Association, he was tracking the sort of the young stars coming through in all the sort of the elite and less elite football countries. So he absolutely had his finger on the pulse of emerging players. And you'd have thought he'd been absolutely perfect for Manchester United. Obviously, something that there's a bigger issue at play here, but it's just bizarre.
Bizarre, according to Henry Winter. Coisty, they spent so long chasing him and waiting for him. Does seem strange to discard him, almost with a click of the fingers.
There's something happened. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Probably something that we'll never find out about. But clearly, you don't chase somebody like that. Wait while he's on garden leave, appoint him for 159 days, and get rid of him without something happening. As I say, I'm not sure what it is, but you can guarantee something has upset Sir Jim Ratcliffe, I would have suggested. And that's it, and that's what's happened. What it is, I don't know. But as I say, I mean, for Henry to use the word bizarre, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Well, it's embarrassing again for the club, isn't it? And for Ineos, who were brought in as the saviours, and yet things certainly haven't gone as planned. The sticking with Erik ten Hag, the sacking of Dan Ashworth, the scrapping of concessions for children in terms of, prices, some of the signings, and of course, they're sitting 13th place. Look, joining us for more on that news, Manchester United's home loss to Nottingham Forest as well. Broadcaster, big United fan, Angelina Kelly. Morning, Angelina.
Good morning, Angelina. How are you?
Good morning. I'm not too bad considering this. You cannot have a normal day as a Man United fan.
So what are the United fans making of the fact that Dan Ashworth has left the club?
I think for everybody, it's just frustration and confusion, because when you look at the last, these 10 months with Ineos, it's not been great. One thing is they clearly are ruthless. So Jim Ratcliffe is clearly a very ruthless business person. But it doesn't seem to be going down, the way that people thought it would. You look at the 250 redundancies that were made, that cost 8 million. The whole Ruben Amorim and Erik ten Hag thing, that cost about 21 million. Then you've got, as you mentioned, getting rid of concessions for children and seniors midway through the season. There was a protest last Sunday about it. Fans are not happy about that. Overseeing some of the worst football at Manchester United, the stadium's falling down, you've got all these things going on, as well as Sir Jim basically saying that he's not that interested in the women's team, even though they won a trophy last season. He's kind of disregarded them as something that he's not that interested in. And now all this with Dan Ashworth, someone that you chased, like you say, and then you've got rid of it. The whole thing, I think, is frustrating. And I think people looked at Sir Jim Ratcliffe as somebody who was going to unite Man United, and he's kind of doing the opposite, especially with fans.
It certainly looks as though he's trying to clear the whole place out before he can kind of start again. That's the impression he's given. And you get away with some of these things off the pitch, Angelina, as you know, if things on the pitch are fine. But watching the game at the weekend, dear me, defensively again, United, the goalkeeper, Martinez for Wood's header. It's a tough watch.
It really is, and I agree. I thought that Martinez would actually take to this three at the back quite well, but he's actually been quite disappointing. And I think when you look at Dallo, I don't think he doesn't look comfortable, in my opinion. That left wing back situation, they're going to need to get somebody in because Luke Shaw, I mean, he's had what 4.5 years out in total with injury. I've heard he's a lovely guy, but that's we need someone that can stay fit. I think Bruno, a positive you can take, it seems like Bruno is slotting into these new roles that he's being asked to do. One thing, Man United are actually scoring goals now. That game under Eric Ten Hag, I think it would have just been a 3-0 loss. So I guess if you're clutching at straws, that's something you can take. But, 3 games away from home now, the Manchester derby on the horizon, it's going to be a very testing time for this team and Ruben Amorim, I think.
Yeah, no, obviously nobody's going to be doing any finger pointing towards Ruben Amorim at the moment, but he shouldn't completely be, escape criticism necessarily. And I just wonder what United fans made of the decision that just after Bruno Fernandes created and scored a great goal to get them back in the game against Nottingham Forest, he took him off.
Yeah, when I was watching that, I was quite confused as to why he made that decision. I'm all for squad rotation. We understand it's a busy time of year, but at the same time, you've got to give people, if you're playing well, you should be able to stay on the pitch, or if you're playing well, you would expect someone to start. I mean, I know when Joshua Zirkzee started against Everton, listen, he had a great game, not taking that away from him, but decisions like that, people are a little bit bemused because you would have thought Rasmus Højlund would start. That one worked out, but I think that it's a little bit, we understand the rotation, but if someone's playing well, it's a struggle to get Man United players playing well. So when they are playing well, let's keep them on the pitch and let them do what they're doing.
Angelina, thank you very much indeed.
Have a good day, Angelina.
Thank you.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.